Okay, so first things first, Mom, if you're watching this, I am sitting in your closet with your computer right now while you're at work. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm hiding from Tristan. But secondly, I'm starting the little project thing for like family and friends, but since this is YouTube, I'm assuming people who don't know me would probably like stumble across this possibly. So I'm gonna introduce myself. I am Shelby. I'm a brand new mom. I guess like 3 days now from giving birth. 3 days like postpartum. Um, I had my baby 10 weeks early. I was 30 weeks gestation, like on the dot, when I delivered my daughter. And this video, I'm going to explain, like my birth story and stuff. Like I'm going to tell a story of how everything happened with that, since it's not like a normal labor and delivery and stuff because she was born so early. And then I'm going to make another video of like one big general update on how she's doing from Monday till now. And then I'm going to make videos every night after 8:30, after Arabella's care time. Once we get back from the hospital, I'll make a video like just explaining the events of the day and what the doctor said about her and stuff, because like every day she like gets better and stuff, and so it's really hard to have to like post to Facebook, and I have 2 Facebooks and it's hard to like update both of those and stuff, and it's hard to like keep track of everything that's happened in one day because like so much happens. So I'm just going to do these videos every night after one day. So yeah, so for like the birth story, I like if we go back in time to when it all like started happening, I was 27 weeks. It was a Saturday, I think, and I noticed that like Belle had dropped lower down, and like I thought it was like kind of normal, because like babies can drop before they like and you're anywhere near labor, and so like I noticed she dropped and stuff, but I wasn't too worried. And then like a day or two later, I noticed that I was like bleeding a little bit, but I didn't like panic and freak out and go to the hospital like right away because I did have a doctor's appointment, or I had an ultrasound the next day. And then the next day I went to my ultrasound and they said everything looked fine and like Belle was head down and stuff. And then later that day I started spotting, and like again I wasn't like super worried. And then I started having like contractions that were like 2 to 3 minutes apart, and so I called my sister because I was like in pain, and I had her bring me to the hospital, and I ended up being admitted to the hospital for an entire week in labor, contracting on and off. Like it wouldn't stop. They like pumped me full of like a bunch of different drugs, and no matter what they did, like the contractions wouldn't stop. And so after a week of being in the hospital, they sent me home, and they were like, just take it easy and stuff. And then I saw a doctor the same week I got discharged, and she went in and she like checked to see if I had dilated any further and like stuff, and she told me that there was no chance I was going to have an early baby. She said I was definitely going to make it to term. She said everything looked fine, the contractions didn't mean anything, and she said not even to worry about preterm labor. And the only thing she like said was to just be on pelvic rest, which basically means I can't have sex. But I was put on pelvic rest. I wasn't on bed rest or anything, and then she like sent me home. And then I went and saw the doctor the week after that, and it was actually the same doctor who delivered my baby. And like I went and saw her, and everything looked fine with Arabella and stuff, and like everything was fine with me. And the next day I was chilling at home. Like I'd gone to school, and then I was just hanging out at home. I was like sitting on the computer, and I like noticed that I was like all wet, like I just like peed myself. Like it's gross, but yeah. And then I got up and my water like broke, and like everything was just covered in baby goo, and I freaked out and I called Tristan, and I was like, my water just broke. And then I had my sister Haley take me to the hospital, and at first I don't think they took me serious. Like I think they were just like, oh no, she probably just peed herself or something. Like I don't think they actually thought my water broke, but I had a nurse come in and she checked me and stuff, and she was like, yeah, your water definitely broke. And so I got hooked up to like the monitors. And then 3 days after my water broke, it was like, well, 2 days after my water broke, I started having like more painful contractions, and they were like every 3 minutes, like on the dot. And they ended up upping my dose of magnesium, which is a medicine that stops contractions, and they upped that and then gave me some Visceral, which helps with contractions too. And so my contractions ended up, they spaced out a lot, and so they thought, like I was fine. And then that morning at 3 in the morning, the contractions were getting like so strong, and like I was crying through the pain and stuff. And the doctor like came in, and she ended up checking me, and she's like, "Hey, you're about 2.5 to 3 centimeters dilated." And then I don't think she thought I was in like active labor at that point. Like, she ended up just leaving me there while I like laid in bed crying in pain and stuff. And the whole time Tristan like is sleeping through me being in labor. And like every time I woke him up to help me go to the bathroom, he was like, "Oh babe, you're turning me into a zombie. Stop waking me up." And he's like getting mad. And I don't think he like believed I was in labor either. I don't think anyone like was expecting me to have a baby. And then like I ended up, it was like 8 in the morning, I think. I had a nurse come in, and she like, what she did was she explained the pain scale to me, because I was saying the contractions were a 10 because it was like the most pain I'd ever been in. Like, I thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain. And then she said, like, if a 10 is me delivering the baby, like, it's the end of labor and that's the point of pushing. She said, "Where am I right now?" And so I was like, "Well, I think I'm about like a 7. And then she was like, "Okay, thank you." And then she left because she was going to go see if she could get me something for the pain. And like next thing I knew, there was, my nurse came back, and then there was like 2 or 3 other nurses, and then the doctor came in. They like all just rushed in like a panic, and they started like freaking out all over my bed, like hovering over me and stuff. And they like ended up checking me. I don't even know what all they did, but I know they checked my cervix. And then she like was freaking out, like the doctor was, she's like panicking. And then my nurse like looked at me, and she's like, "Oh, well, looks like today's the day you're gonna have a baby." And then the doctor like looked at her and was like, "No, not today. Today's the morning." And then they took me off magnesium and gave me some kind of fluid. I don't even know what it was. I have no idea what even happened when that was all going on, but they put something in me. And then like immediately as soon as I was done with that, they like pushed my bed into the operating room to deliver. And like I had the epidural put in, and like literally like 5 minutes after the epidural I started pushing. And then Belle was born like 15 minutes after I started pushing, like, and she was born, like, it all happened so fast because I was in labor. It started about like 3 in the morning is when active labor set in, and then 8 in the morning is when they checked me, and then by 9:09 was when Arabella was born. Like, it was like boom, boom, like everything just happened so fast. And like I went through all my labor by myself. Like, I didn't have Tristan there like to hold my hand or anything through contractions. It was like all by myself, and I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I think I just heard Tristan. He found me. But yeah, so that's like the story of her being born. She was born 3 pounds 14 ounces, and I actually saw her being born, which is something not a lot of girls get to do, but since I'm so small, I got to see her be born. And then right as soon as she came out, they clamped the cord, they cut the cord and then swooped her away from me and rushed her to like the NICU. And then an hour later I got to go in and see her. So yeah, and then I'm gonna make another video explaining her progress, everything that's happened in the last 3 days with her. But that's a story of how she was born and stuff, what all happened with that. So yeah.